Go ahead and call this meeting to order. It is 6:32. This meeting has been duly called. A notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Opens Meeting Act, Section 551.043 of the Texas Government Code. Ms. Linda Duncan will be leading us in the pledges this evening.
United States of America,
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
indivisible,
with
with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag.
Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. All right, I'll give us all a bit of time for a moment of silence, maybe an extended bit of time. Okay. First up on the agenda, we have our superintendent's announcements.
Good evening, board members and Seguin ISD community. We continue to tread into uncharted territory as we prepare to welcome our students back for the first day of school on September the 8th. At this point, we do know that we will offer face-to-face learning for students whose parents wish to send them to school. Additionally, we will offer remote learning opportunities for students whose parents do not feel comfortable with the classroom environment. Tomorrow, I will host my third in a series of virtual town hall meetings to provide staff and community with the latest back to school news. We had a favorable participation on July 15th and July 22nd, and tomorrow I expect that we will have several hundred participate in the Zoom meetings at 2 p.m. for staff and 5 p.m. for the community. Tomorrow we plan to share the Seguin ISD Back to School Blueprint. This comprehensive document of approximately 50 pages outlines plans for this fall, including instruction, health, safety precautions, transportation, and student meals. We will post the document online and email it to our staff and families. Once translation is complete, as a Spanish version will be posted as well. The Back to School Blueprint will be a fluid document and updated as required based on county, state, and national guidelines. I'll conclude with some good news. Today, Coach Bush shared the updated Matador varsity football schedule. Our first regular season game will be played in our new Matador Stadium on September the 25th against Bastrop Cedar Creek. Kickoff is at 7:30 p.m. Please continue to practice safe and healthy habits and take care of one another. Go Matadors.
All right, thank you, Dr. Gutierrez. And Ms. Ramirez, I failed to let you know that we do have a quorum. At present, all the trustees except for Mr. Jenkins are with us. Next up on our agenda is audience with the board. We did not have anyone sign up in advance, so we'll be moving right into our reports and information items. So first up, item 3A is discussion of the Seguin ISD use of the North American Catholic Educational Programming. I believe Mr. Lewis will be sharing this with us, or Mr. Hilberg.
I can share. This is an information item just to inform you of a purchase that was done over the cost of $50,000. This was an outlet that we used to purchase some hotspots. It's actually a group called Mobile Beacon. They just have a different name because on their work, but it's a company called Mobile Beacon. That's where we purchased some hotspots from earlier. And it's just an information item to let you know that we made that purchase.
And can you share with us how many hotspots we have available right now?
Right now, we have 643, have another 110 already have been ordered from the same vendor. And we chose this vendor because it's Sprint, covers the area pretty good. It's unlimited data, and we can filter it. It's SIPA compliant filtering, and it's unlimited on the data plan. We are also in works with the state on a commodity purchase to purchase about 250 more devices. So we're trying to hit my goal of 1,000 devices. So we should be covered for the year. We should be in pretty good shape.
That's great news. Is there any way for us to tell how often those are utilized?
That's a good question. I don't know all the tools available on those. If we can read all the data, I think we can on our data reports, because it's just like your phone. They get billed. We just have to look at the bills that come back. Even though we've prepaid for a year, we should get a bill that shows how
many hits we've had.
Use they have.
Okay, thank you. I just want to make note that Mr. Jenkins has joined us. Good evening, Mr. Jenkins. And it is 6:38 for the record. All right, our next information item, 3B, is discussion of the Seguin ISD continuation with the Head Start program. Is Mr. Cantu with us this evening?
Yes, I'm right here.
Hello, hello.
All right, sorry about that.
That's okay.
So for this item, Panorama is providing us a service in which we can store all our RTI and MTSS information. So our response to intervention includes our Tier 1 instruction, which we do for every single student, Tier 2, which is small group instruction, and then Tier 3, the most intensive services. And so Panorama allows us to store that information. It also allows us and includes our social and emotional learning surveys, but also lessons that teachers can introduce to students. They can do it one-on-one. They can do in small group or whole class. And so what this will do is it'll give us a robust way to be able to track not only academic interventions, but social and emotional learning interventions. And then in addition to that, behavior interventions down to the student level. If we offer surveys to the students, which we plan to do so, it'll track that beginning, middle, and end of year, and we can see growth on all of those 3 components. We can also survey staff and community in those components as well.
Cindy, you're muted.
This was, Mr. Cantu, this was the presentation on our information on Head Start.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I had my microphone muted too. We'll come back to that, Mr. Cantu.
Sorry about that. Let me jump to it right here. So for Head Start, what we want to share with you all today is we have a new partnership at about every 5, 6, 7 years or so. I don't know the exact timing. The U.S. government goes out for bid, and so this happened, and so we have a new Head Start provider. And so this is the information for the contract that's going to serve for the term of July through when their fiscal contract year starts, which is through the end of September. And so with this term, what we're asking for, or just really sharing information about moving from BCSF to, I always get this confused, South Texas communities. I'm sorry.
Community Council of South
Community,
Texas.
There you go. Community Council of South Central Texas. There you go. And so they are the new Head Start grantee provider. And so this will eventually turn into a full year contract, and then their contract will be renewed as long as we follow all the provisions for Head Start. And so what Head Start does for you all, as you all know, we've been in partnership with Head Start for many years, is they provide the family services, they provide additional education opportunities, and of course they provide some health opportunities. So it's something that we benefit from.
Okay, Mark, can I refresh my memory? We had Head Start located at Ball Early Childhood Center.
Correct.
And so now the location is changing, or are we keeping some of the classes at Ball?
We're keeping some of the classes. So when Head Start puts out the grant, the grantee can apply for a different type of Head Start. So when this grant was proposed, it was proposed that it would be a 4-year-old program, which we've always served 4-year-olds. Last year and in prior years, we also served 3-year-olds. The state, remember that the state also had a big push that we educate 4-year-olds all day instead of just half a day.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're making the move from a half-day 3-year-old program and a half-day 4-year-old program to a full 4-year-old program.
So I'm sorry, go ahead.
So now we will see our 4-year-olds all day. The grant this time around that it was awarded also includes some freestanding sites, and they will also be able to serve some 3-year-olds, and I believe it's actually 0 to 5 or 0 to 4 that the grant will serve. But that is different, and that is not part of our Seguin ISD contract.
And where is that? Where are those classes going to be located?
So they have the option to choose a school or a place. So they go out for bid just the way any other grantee would. It could be that Seguin ISD could house that as well if we submit that.
Because their old Head Start building off of Weinert Street is not in exist or is not being utilized, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, I believe the program was moved from New Braunfels to the CCSCT. And you're right, it's from 0 until 3. And the news bit that I heard about in KWD when they announced it last week, they're also looking for locations to house that area, those kids. So they may very well approach the district.
Mm-hmm.
They currently have an RFP out for people to bid to host that 0 to 3 program. So they're selecting proposals. I'm sorry, collecting proposals from entities that want to house that 0 to 3 program.
And is that going to be a half day or a full day?
I don't know how they're going to run that program.
Mark, do you know?
Yeah, I'm not sure because that's not a direct contract with us. The only part that's a direct contract with Seguin ISD is the 4-year-old program.
And are we keeping the same teachers that we had last year for the Head Start group, or did they have to reapply?
It's the same staff. And what we're going to do is we're going to run a model that is slightly different. So we believe that all our students are our students and that we can serve them all well. So what we don't want to differentiate is to say this is a Head Start only program versus this is a Seguin ISD program. And so we are a full service school and we service all students who qualify. And so they will be mixed with students who are not only Head Start served, but Seguin ISD served.
Okay.
Yeah, I even looked on their website, the CCSCT website last week. And they really don't say where. They used to be in New Braunfels, but they moved it to this location here in Seguin. So I think that's going to benefit our Head Start program in the long run because we'll have the closer relationship. But there's not that much information on their website yet. They said they'll post it later.
Right. I believe that they were just awarded in about June, and so they've been working to ramp up their program. Again, the first part of the contract is just to cover from July through their effective fiscal year, and then we will enter into another part of the contract with them. But as Mr. Lewis just shared, they're looking for a location, and that may well be one of our buildings.
Only time will tell.
Thank you, Mark.
Any further questions? All right. Next up on our agenda is to go into closed session. So we will adjourn into closed session pursuant to the following sections of the Texas Opens Meeting Act: 551.071, 551.074, 551.129. This is possible consultation with legal counsel to address legal concerns, implications, and answer any legal questions regarding posted agenda items, and also to discuss personnel matters, including appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment duties, or dismissal of an employee. We will be discussing the Director of Digital Learning. It is 6:48, so we will go from open session to closed session at this time. All right, we are now going to reconvene into the open meeting. It is, ooh, what time is it? Well, according to my watch, it's 7:11. 7:11. And up in front of us, we have a possible action to select the Director of Digital Learning.
Madam President, I move that we hire Juan Orozco in the position of Director of Digital Learning.
All right, I have a motion and a second from Mr. Amador. Any further discussion at all? All in favor, raise your right hand. Make sure you can see. Linda, I can never see your hand. There. Okay, okay, we have 7 ayes. The motion carries. Dr. Gutierrez?
Yes, it's my honor and privilege to introduce to everyone our new Director of Digital Learning, Mr. Juan Orozco. He is coming to us from Del Valley ISD, where he currently serves as their Director of Digital Learning. And I believe he's on right now as a panelist, so I'm going to allow him the opportunity to introduce himself.
Hi, my name is Juan Orozco, and I'm very excited to be joining the Seguin family. I'm, yes, super psyched to join such a dynamic group. So as you can see, I'm all over. You can see my background. I just want to change it up just a little bit. But yes, super pleased. So thank you for the opportunity.
Well, welcome to the team. We look forward to meeting you in person.
That's right.
Welcome.
Welcome, Mr. Orozco.
Yeah, well, welcome. And congratulations to your co-workers that you're leaving behind. They're going to have a good deal with Tesla.
That's right.
It's going to be a good opportunity for them to join.
I have a good team, and they will be fine.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Well, welcome to the team. All right. Moving on to item 6, which are our consent agenda items. BE Local states that the consent agenda shall include items of a routine and or recurring nature grouped together under one action item. All such items shall be acted upon by one vote without separate discussion unless a board member requests that an item be withdrawn for individual consideration. The remaining items shall be adopted under a single motion and vote as applicable. First on our list is the approval of board minutes for the budget workshop June 11th, the public meeting, which was on June 16th, the regular meeting on June 16th, the special meeting on June 25th, special meeting on July 14th, and our Team of 8 training on July 21st. Also, we have the approval of tax collection reports for June 2020, the approval of investment report for the fourth quarter of 2019-20, the approval of the investment report for the year ended June 30th, 2020, the approval of property, liability, and fleet insurance for 2020-21, the Seguin ISD extension of service contract with Waste Connections, the non-local funding source associated with various state and federal programs not reflected in the annual adopted budgets, the renewal information regarding the MUNIS Financial and Human Resource System Software as a Service from Tyler Technologies, through the Sourcewell Purchasing Cooperative. Information regarding the purchase of IMAX for Ball, Kinnicky, McQueenie, Potlan, Rodriguez, Vogel, and Weiner from Apple through the DIR Purchasing Co-op. Information regarding the purchase of license fees for Seguin ISD from Panorama Education, Inc. through the Choice Partners Purchasing Co-op. The Seguin ISD use of Region 20 COVID Support Cooperative. Information regarding the purchase of radio communication equipment for Seguin Independent School District from Industrial Communications through the TIPS Purchasing Co-op. Information regarding the purchase of Chromebooks for Barnes, Riesemeister, Jefferson, Kinnicky, McQueenie, Potlan, Rodriguez, Vogel, and Weiner from CDWG through the PACE Purchasing Cooperative. The Bond 2019 project update and acknowledge Public Information Act requests from June and July 2020. Would any of the trustees like to pull one of those items from the consent list? If not, do I hear a motion for approval of the list of consent agenda items?
Madam President, I move to accept the consent agenda items.
All right, I have a motion from Ms. Duncan. Do I have a second?
Second.
A second from Mr. Guerra. And no further discussion? If not, all in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0. All right, moving on to our action items. First up, we have to consider to appoint an audit committee for the Board of Trustees. And we do this every year. And Ben, you'll be happy to know you're off the hook. So I'm going to appoint, I would like to appoint Mr. Alejandro Guerra, Mr. Carl Jenkins, and Ms. Denise Crittenden. If they're, okay, I see Mr. Jenkins is giving me a thumbs up. Would you like to make a motion for approval, Mr. Jenkins?
Making a motion for approval for appointment to the committee of the audit committee.
Okay, do I hear a second?
I second.
A second from Mr. Amador. I can't see everyone, so I'm going to do a roll call vote. Ms. Duncan?
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Crittenden?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to vote yes. Mr. Amador?
Yes.
Mr. Jenkins?
Yes.
Ms. Moreno?
Yes.
Mr. Guerra?
Yes.
Okay. So we have 7 ayes and no nays, so the action item does pass. All right, there we are again. Okay, moving back to our action items, action item 7 or agenda item 7B, which is consideration and possible approval of Eckelbaum, Wardell, Hansen, Powell, and Munoz PC as legal counsel for Seguin ISD as needed. Dr. Gutierrez, is there anything you'd like to speak to in regards to this?
Sure. I just wanted to share that this doesn't change the current counsel that we are accustomed to referencing and utilizing. This gives us an opportunity to have a second firm. We've had, in the 3 years that I've been here, we've utilized Walsh Anderson. My recommendation is to utilize Eichelbaum Wardell when the need arises to have a second law firm available. In addition, they offer extensive professional learning opportunities for staff, particularly administration, that we'd love to be able to bring in to the district as well.
Okay. Are there any questions?
They're a firm out of Austin, San Antonio?
They are located in the Dallas area and the Austin area, but they are based in the Dallas area.
And you have worked with them in the past, I assume?
I have worked with them in the past.
Okay.
Hasn't Seguin also had them in the past?
I don't recognize that name.
Okay.
I can't confidently say that we have.
All right. Any further questions?
In fact, I'm sorry, they
That's okay.
did work within the district, but it's been many years ago.
Good memory, Miss Moreno. I'm impressed. All right.
That's a name that you can't, that first name, it kind of stays with you.
Yeah. Okay. Do I hear a motion for approval of this firm to serve as a legal counsel for the district as needed?
Move to approve.
Thank you, Mr. Amador. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Moreno. Any further questions, comments? Not all in favor of approval, raise your right hand. I see mine. Okay. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0. Moving on to item 7C on our agenda, which is possible action to accept the adoption of the CEP provision at 11 campuses during the 2021 school year. And I see Mr. Galvan and Mr. Hilberg. Hello, gentlemen.
Yes, if I would like to introduce Jacob Galvan to present this information. Don't want to steal their thunder. They've done a wonderful job. There's been a lot that has gone into this, and Galvan will speak to that. This does tie in a little bit to the next agenda item, the meal pricing, and I would like an opportunity just to do a little bit of an introduction. I'll let Jacob take over on that one as well. But take it away, Mr. Galvan.
Good evening, Board of Trustees and Seguin ISD community. So this is regarding basically the action item that we spoke about during the board budget workshop last month. And so this has not changed since we've discussed it. This is just as a refresher, the community eligibility provision allows us to determine campuses that have a certain amount of students that are qualified for free meals through government assistance programs. So what we have determined is, and what we recommend is that we establish a community eligibility provision for 11 campuses, which is Ball Early Childhood Center, all the elementary schools, both middle schools, and the Sagert campus, which includes Burgess and MBLC programs. If there are any questions regarding that, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
It's a wonderful program, and thank you so much for all the work that you've done to get this district qualified for this.
Absolutely. I appreciate it. And there's been many things that have gone into what has allowed us to finally be able to participate. Since we reviewed this about 2 years ago, there have been some changes that have allowed us to directly certify or allow more students to get free meals. So there's been a lot of changes, and we're happy that we've been able to finally make it work for the district. And I'm very excited for the opportunity to feed so many students for free and to get even more kids access to our program.
I know we're all real excited about it, and even more excited about the opportunity to maybe even move to the high school in the coming year.
Yes.
Or beyond.
And I just want to make it very clear that it's Mr. Galvan and Mr. Hilberg who have done the work to get this up and running and get this into our schools. They deserve all the credit.
Absolutely.
Yeah, just thanks again to both of you guys for doing all that hard work. I'm sure a lot of parents are going to appreciate this.
Oh, it's just a glorious day.
No, swords up.
Yep. I wish we had a regular board meeting so we could clap.
I know.
I know. And pass the tissues.
Yep.
Right. All right.
Jacob, one quick question. Will the middle schools I know have accessibility to a la carte items? Is that still gonna stay, or are we getting rid of that one?
Well, of course, coming into a very unique school year, we're trying to start as simple as possible. So I don't want to say that we will not offer a la carte items. I think that eventually we will. How soon we will begin offering them is just going to be determined by how quickly we can work out any kinks in the system. So we we definitely intend to, but we don't want to do anything either that might jeopardize the safety of students or might slow down the process, especially while everyone's coming in and beginning the school year.
Jacob, could you clarify though, if and when we are at a point when we can offer a la carte, how will that look under this scenario?
Okay, definitely. So under this scenario, a la carte items remain the same. Basically, a student would need to have money in their account or have money with them available to pay at the time of purchase. The only thing is that, of course, once we go CEP, if we do that, if you choose to adopt it, students would not be able to go negative to purchase a la carte items. I would just make that specific note, but otherwise the process itself doesn't change. They just simply have to have money on their account or have it on hand and they can purchase those items.
So the approximate number of students who will be getting this is it a little over 5,000, is that correct?
Yes, that is.
Okay, that is
Yes,
such
ma'am.
wonderful news for this community.
It is.
Any further questions or comments? If not, I'd like to entertain a motion for approval. Mr. Jenkins, take you're muted. Okay, Mr. Jenkins.
Madam President, I move to approve the resolution as read.
Okay, thank you.
Second.
And I have a second. Is that Ms. Duncan? I have a motion and a second. Further discussion? If not, all in favor, raise your right hand where I can see it. All right. Okay. We have 7 yeses, and opposed would be the same sign. We will have none. So the motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank
And
you.
moving on, and don't go anywhere, because we do have our next agenda item, which is on student meal pricing for the 2021 school year.
And members of the board, Dr. Gutierrez, I just wanted to take a quick moment before Mr. Galvan gets into the meal pricing for next year. Obviously, meal pricing is going to be exclusive to Seguin High School in light of the agenda item that you just approved. And he'll speak to that. But what I want to draw your attention to just very briefly is Exhibit A. And the reason why I'd like to draw your attention to Exhibit A is because it deals with the financial statement associated with the child nutrition program. There's a requirement that the program has to submit the financial statement with a projection of fund balance using what was known at December 31st of the appropriate year, the year being requested. And so in this year, obviously where we thought we were at December 31st and where we would be at the end of the year is far different from where we are.
Right.
And so if you look at the bottom section in gray of that Exhibit A, where it schedules out the fund balance information, the additional information to the reader, that's what I want to draw your attention to. You'll notice the disclosure that we typically share with you, and this is the exact disclosure that we had on the December 31st financial statement, with the exception of one line item, and that is the line item that reads 19-20 adjustment resulting from unanticipated cost of COVID-19 pandemic, 6/30/20. So we have made an adjustment after we've done the accruals for salaries that go beyond the end of operations, move into the summertime. We have to accrue those and bring those costs in, as well as some other year-end costs. We brought all of those costs in. We've aggregated all of the additional funding that Jacob's been able to get because he's been able to use a different funding source other than the National School Lunch Program. He's been using the summer feeding program to increase the funding. You've been aware of that. I just want to remind you. So the reason why I want to bring this to your attention is because early on in COVID-19, when we were looking at operations shutting down and we were anticipating a full closure and very few meals, very little reimbursement from the Fed, we anticipated that you would have absolutely zero or possibly even negative fund balance in the program. We really thought that the general operating fund early on And this is, you know, a lot of things changed, some funding came through, and that's what helped, as well as some proactive actions on the part of child nutrition and Jacob. But initially, we thought that it would be possible that the general operating fund would have to support the program this year. But that completely turned around. And as it looks now, and this is I think this is very close to where we're going to land with the audit. Now, every time we go through an audit, there are additional year-end entries that the auditors may come through with, but there also may be some additional funding that TDA may allow us to charge. So we'll see, but I think we're pretty close right now. We're going to land with a positive fund balance of $700,000. I mean, that's almost as huge of a benefit as what you just passed with that CEP, because you almost lost all the fund balance in 1 year that we've been working years to accrue. We almost lost it in 1 year, and yet we've been able to salvage it and maintain that $700,000. And going CEP, we're actually going to increase revenue. Now, we may have a big depletion in terms of, or reduction rather, in terms of number of meals served. So there's always that risk. So there's going to be some hard things that could come down the pipe. But the bottom line is revenue per meal. Now, that's the important thing, is revenue per meal is going to be higher next year than it was this year. And so if we can get our operations where they need to be based on what other circumstances are, then we will be able to have a self-sufficient, a sustainable program. So I just wanted to share that. I think it was very important for the board to know. Jacob, go ahead with the meal pricing.
Thank you, Tony, for explaining that very, very well. And that goes right into the agenda item itself, which basically, if a child nutrition program has a positive fund balance as of December 31st, 2019, which we did, and even all things considered, we still have managed to maintain a positive balance at the end of the year as well. But if done so, if a positive balance remained at the end of the calendar year, then we are able to allow us to not have to increase meal prices, which, as Mr. Hilberg already mentioned, the meal prices would only affect those students at Seguin High School. So our recommendation is to keep those student meal prices the same. And on Exhibit B, it shows what those prices are. And the breakfast price for a full-pay student is still $1.70, and a lunch for a full-paid student is still $3. And our recommendation is to keep those prices the same.
All right, thank you. Do any of the trustees have any further questions? If not, I'd like to entertain a motion.
I move that we approve the pricing for the student meal pricing, mainly for the Seguin High School students.
Okay, student meal pricing for the 2021 school year. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Amador. Again, this is really great news. If there are no further questions, all in favor, raise your right hand. Close to your right ear. Let's do it that way. Okay. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0. Thank you, Mr. Galvan.
Yes,
all of
thank
your
you
work.
all. Thank you very much.
This is wonderful news. All right, moving on to agenda item 7E, which is a resolution for emergency declaration and action related to COVID-19. Dr. Gutierrez.
Yes, trustees, we're certainly navigating uncharted territory and living in very unique times, and many of the decisions we're making would be decisions that a district would make after a disaster declaration, after a hurricane, and recently we've made some decisions in response to the pandemic, and have adopted a similar resolution. This resolution that I am seeking would give me the authority as the superintendent to be able to make decisions in response to ever-changing circumstances with COVID-19. Unfortunately, we meet once a month, and there could possibly be decisions that would need to be made, whether it is a decision, a financial decision, or a school closure decision, a missed day waiver decision, a change to the school calendar. Of course, we want to limit any of these decisions as much as possible to ensure that we're getting board approval. And even if with some of these decisions, it could be something that is a temporary decision for 2-3 weeks until we have the opportunity to come together as a board. For example, a decision that's made regarding employee compensation during a closure, similar to what we did in the spring. We compensated employees during our school closure. And so if a decision like that has to be made, I'd like to have the opportunity to make that decision rather than holding up possibly payroll and then coming back and extending it based on the board's approval. What I'm finding is that other school districts near us are adopting these resolutions or plan on it. Again, it's because of the extenuating circumstances that we are encountering, and decisions would certainly not be made in isolation. If a decision had to be made, as much advance notice and information would be shared, and we would try our best to wait, if possible, for the next board meeting. But some decisions could be temporary until we have an opportunity to come together so that the board can make a decision.
That's certainly understandable. Any questions from any trustees? We just keep our fingers crossed that we don't have any big decisions for you to make down the road. If no questions, do I hear a motion to approve the resolution for the 2021 school year for the emergency declaration and action related to COVID-19? Yes, sir.
Madam, I move that we accept the resolution for emergency declaration and action related to COVID-19.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Amador, any further discussion? If not, all in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. Typically, I would read a resolution. Motion carries 7-0, by the way. This is a very lengthy resolution, so if there are members of the community who are interested in exactly what the resolution says, it will be posted on our website. All right, moving on to agenda item 7F, which is possible action to order a general election for the November 3rd, 2020 general election for the trustees in single member districts 1, 3, and 6.
Madam President?
Yes, sir.
I would like to recommend that we table this. We are aware of some changes that are coming, and we'll have to come back together for a special meeting to bring this forward again. So we were originally, we thought that this was, knowing it was a draft, we were under the impression that it was going to look like the final version. But now that we are aware that there will be changes and we'll be coming back as a board to make a decision, I'd recommend just tabling it until we circle back again next month.
So we can expect a special meeting of some kind to readdress this?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and table that. Moving on to agenda item 7G, which is to nominate the candidates for the TASB Board of Directors. And we had a gentleman from Dilley, I believe, ISD, his name is J.D. Rodriguez, approached us about serving on the TASB Board of Directors. So this is for us to approve a nomination. And he gave us a letter. I hope you all read through it, looked him up. Do we have any questions about Mr. Dill? I almost called him Mr. Dilley. Mr. Rodriguez from Dilley. And Dr. Gutierrez, have you had any interaction with him? Or
I have.
Dilley ISD?
I have been connected to Mr. Rodriguez for some time now on social media, but and I've had the opportunity to meet him at a TASB convention. So certainly someone who I believe will be a strong advocate for the schools representing the region.
All right. He is seeking to represent Region 20, by the way. We're now part of Region 20. If there are no questions, I'd like to entertain a motion for approval that we nominate Mr. J.D. Rodriguez.
Madam President,
Yes, sir.
I move that we approve the selection for Juan Daniel Rodriguez III for the TASB Board of Directors for Region 20.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Guerra. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Ms. Moreno. Any further discussion? Not, all in favor, raise your right hand for approval. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0. Agenda item 7H is to designate the official voting delegate and alternate to the 2020 TASB Delegate Assembly in Dallas, Texas on October 2nd through 4th. Whether or not that will actually happen in person is yet to be seen. But I would like to ask Ms. Glenda Moreno to serve as our delegate this year, and I would like to serve as alternate. Unless somebody else would like to step up. I don't really know what this would look like in a virtual setting. Mr. Jenkins, you went to the TASB delegate meeting last year, correct?
Correct, and the year before also.
And the year before also? Okay. Any words of advice from Ms. Moreno? Should she be approved?
It's pretty straightforward. You just they show you where to go and how to vote, and you sit through the session and listen and vote.
Okay.
They show us how to vote or they tell us how to vote?
They show you how to vote.
Oh, okay.
All right, dear, I hear a motion to approve our delegate as Ms. Glenda Moreno and alternate as Cindy Thomas Jimenez.
I move to approve.
Thank you, Mr. Amador. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second the motion.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Crittenden. There's no further discussion. All in favor, raise your right hand. Okay, opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0. All right. And then moving on, I believe, to our last agenda item, which is our personnel action for professional employees. Ms. Cindy Moreno, see your smiling face. What have you got for us this evening?
Good evening, President Thomas Jimenez, Board of Trustees, and Dr. Gutierrez. We ask that you recognize and acknowledge the new professional hires for the school year. We have 25 new hires coming through this round. 50% of them are minority hires. 8 of those 25 are from Seguin ISD. So they have some experience with us, whether they were paraprofessionals, substitutes that are now moving into the teaching ranks, or student teachers. And we even have some former students in there. So that's always exciting for us to grow our own. I'd like to highlight Krista Baker, who's going to be joining Barnes Elementary. She has 26 years of experience in ELA, so we're excited to have her. Also, Martha Garcia is a bilingual teacher that is coming back home to Seguin ISD. She used to be a former employee, and she has 22 years of experience as a bilingual teacher. So we're exceptionally happy to have her join us. If you can also notice, we're having Megan Holmes, that's an advancement, going to JDC as an intervention transition coordinator. And we also have those resignations at the bottom for your acknowledgement.
Do we have any positions still open, Ms. Moreno, or I know we still have a bit of time before school starts.
Yes, ma'am. We have just a few. I believe we have 2 at the elementary level, 1 at the high school, and maybe 1 or 2 at the middle school. So we're doing very well.
Okay, thank you. That's good news. I see everybody looking over the list.
There were a few that we didn't get we get the little information, the campus, what they're teaching, where they came from. There were a few that were on the list that weren't on that. Will we get those? It's always interesting to see where people come from.
Yes, ma'am, absolutely.
Okay.
All right. We've got a lot of names on the table. Would anybody like to make a motion to approve these individuals?
Madam President,
Yes,
I'd like
sir.
to make a motion that we approve the personal action professional employees listed.
All right, as listed. All right, I have a motion to approve the professional action employees. That's a hard term to spit out. As listed on our agenda, and we have resignations as well. Do I hear a second?
A second.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Crittenden seconded it. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, raise your right hand. Okay, and opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0. We have a lot of people to welcome to the district. And Ms. Moreno, I can tell you a couple of the trustees, we appreciate very much the little videos. They're wonderful. I just hope somewhere down the road we can somehow reach out as trustees to our new hires and let them know how excited we are to have them be a part of the Seguin ISD family.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
All right. Any further questions or comments? Would anybody like to have anything else to say before we leave the meeting?
I do. I have a quick question. Dr. Gutierrez, maybe you can answer this. As we gear up for football season, any idea how that might look? I know we're so excited about getting into Matador Stadium and for that first game, although I'm a little nervous about what that's going to look like. And I know folks in the community are excited to find out just what that might look like. Any insight to what that might look like?
I'm remaining optimistic that we are going to have a season at the new Matador Stadium. It's going to be another 2 or 3 weeks before we have guidance out there for the community that outlines the logistics of our games as far as fans and such, and that's all going to be based on the restrictions that are set forth by UIL and other possible local or state ordinances. So information is forthcoming, but as of right now, we have a football season.
So exciting. And saw some pretty nice masks for sale as well. Some Matador masks. All right. Anybody else have any questions or comments?
I just had a question for Dr. Gutierrez. That Greg Abbott made an announcement yesterday on the STAR testing.
STAR testing is moving forward. Still, there are still plans. The changes are going to be, we're accustomed to 5th and 8th grade needing to pass the STAR to be promoted, and they have multiple opportunities. This year, all grades will test at the same time, but the plans as of right now, and I think it's important for our community to be aware that we are moving forward with STAR in light of this pandemic.
All right.
So is there any discussion if our kids are still doing remote learning at that time? How is STAR testing going to be administered?
It's on it's still on our calendar. So we are keeping in it, as far as planning purposes, we're planning as if STAR is going to happen, because the latest today is that there will be STAR.
We all need to keep our ears open for those plans and phases, right? Isn't that right, Dr. Gutierrez?
That's
all
correct.
Right. All right. If there is no further discussion, we will call this meeting to an end at 7:50. All in favor of that, raise your right hand. All right. I'll make that motion. Okay. So 7:50, Mr. Amador, I just want to remind you, you're going to need to go visit Mr. Ramirez sometime tomorrow for signatures. All right. Everybody stay safe.
Good night.
Wash your hands, wear your mask, social distance. Bye.